Where can you go when skies turn gray, where the sun always shines and the animals play, where every day is a happy day? Well, Smoochy's here to show the way.
Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm Iain.
And I'm Gary. And today we're taking a look at a movie that came out in 2002 by director Danny DeVito, Death to Smoochy. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
The story starts off with Rainbow Randolph, played by Robin Williams, who is a children's TV presenter. He is stung by the FBI after taking money to try and illegally get children onto his show. The company that hires him fires him and hires Sheldon Mopes, played by Edward Norton. Sheldon is 100% au naturel good guy and just wants to bring happiness to all the children of the world. But there's a lot of corruption, bribery and gangsters going on behind the cameras.
It's got to be said that this is a very unknown movie. Hardly anyone ever came across this film. It came out 2002 and it was not very successful at the box office. It didn't make very much money, but sort of over the last 10 years it's generated quite a cult following. And this, also looking at this as a Danny DeVito directed or produced movie, as well as him having a part in the movie, it was just kind of off, because whenever I think of Danny DeVito, I always remember him from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, or as the Penguin. But usually when I see him in a role like this, it's kind of like it's going to be hit or miss. I had no idea going into this film how funny it was going to be. And for the most part, audiences are going to be looking at this film going, is it a kids' movie?
Yeah.
Do I really want to watch a movie that's about children's entertainers? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Because this film is incredibly dark, but brutally funny at the same time. This is also, Edward Norton at this point had done some pretty successful movies, but he was still sort of a fledgling actor.
Yeah.
I would go on to say that he is perhaps one of the greatest actors of our time. And in this role, he does get to explore some difficult emotions.
Yeah.
At the same time, trying to portray this pure of heart character in a very sort of corrupt environment.
Hold the phone. You're telling me that KidNet is finally ready to pursue a show of Smoochy caliber?
Yes, I believe we're ready to push ourselves to that level.
We also have Robin Williams, and obviously, sadly, Robin Williams recently passed away. But watching this film, there is nobody who could have been as eccentric and crazy and funny and dark all at the same time.
Well, Robin Williams has done such a wealth of movies, exploring some very bizarre and eccentric characters, especially when you then go to look at 1 Hour Photo, where he is just nothing but pure villainous sort of weirdness. When you combine all of that together, sort of if you put aspect of every Robin Williams movie character together, Rainbow Randolph is pretty much the summit of all of those parts.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch him in this film.
Yeah. Him and Edward Norton, you like we said, you've got Rainbow Randolph, who is he's a kid's entertainer, but he's there for the money. And then you've got Edward Norton, who's literally at the bottom of the pile, but he's the guy you want teaching your children. And after Randolph gets fired, and he starts to fall into a dark pit of depression, they bring Sheldon in, and Sheldon has no idea how much crap goes on behind the cameras. I didn't realize, actually, you learn a lot from this film. Seeing things like Barney the dinosaur and Sesame Street, they all look colourful and stuff on camera, but then you don't realize that behind the scenes people are wanting them to make shampoo and sweets and cereal, and they want them to
it's
do
all
ice
that
shows.
Commercial bullshit that goes on top of having any hot sort of commodity.
Yeah.
It's how much you can bank in on it. And that's pretty much one of the linchpins in the movie, is that we do see this sort of really dark underbelly of this corporate children's entertainment. And there are people in there that would start it off genuine, that were doing it for the right reasons, but they just become jaded or just become so used to dealing with this crap that they get a thicker skin.
Yeah.
And that's when you get to see some real good banter, back and forth, snappy dialogue between some of the characters.
I'll be in my office. It's the big one over there, with the view.
They all have views, you dumb shit.
Not looking this way, Cupcake.
Yeah, I mean, Jon Stewart, stand-up comedian, he plays kind of the manager of this TV studio, and that scene where he has to go talk to the bosses, and the bosses, the table is higher than him, and he looks like this tiny little guy looking up at his god, like, I'll try and fix this. I'll try and fix this. I was surprised of Catherine Keener, who plays Nora in this film. She is a bitch.
With a heart of gold.
But what surprised me is that she's also in Sinodoku, New York with Philip Seymour Hoffman. She was a fucking bitch in that as well. And I'm just like, wow, this woman is really good at playing bitches.
Listen, Ma, can I call you back? Yeah, some asshole screaming in my ear. Okay.
But even though she's coming across as a bitch, she still comes across as a very real person.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of the characters in this film are dealing or get confronted with something about them that somebody else points out that they don't quite like.
Yeah.
And there's that sort of poignant moment sort of early on in the film where Edward Norton's like, you've forgotten that these are children out there that I'm trying to help. I'm trying to give them good advice. I'm trying to get them off that sugary crap that this company's, putting its name on. And I want to give them healthy cookies. I want to give them organic drinks. And he tells her, it's like, you don't see children out there anymore.
Yeah.
You just see dollar signs with pigtails.
It's a kid show. Those are children I'm singing to out there. You don't even see children anymore. You just see wallets with pigtails.
And of course, the music chord just goes, and we see the camera come in on her, and she has that realization, like, holy shit, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that happens to a lot of characters throughout the film, and it does balance going between sort of slapstick, silly, sort of cartoonish violence.
Yeah.
And then it jumps into something really serious, where it's dealing with very serious emotions and problems that people would go through.
Yeah.
And seeing it contrasted like that, you would think it wouldn't work, but in this film it works spectacularly well. And as you said, Robin Williams gives an electric performance in this film. I think he actually steals the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because I went into this thinking this was an Edward Norton movie. Lo and behold, every time Robin Williams came on screen, he'd just kick the adrenaline back up into 11.
Yeah.
Fascinating to watch.
What's up?
Whoa.
2 for the price of 1. How convenient. How serendipitous.
It's a brilliant balance. I mean, Edward Norton, I generally, after a while, started to get annoyed with Edward Norton's character because he was so nice. He was so nice after a while. I wanted to vomit. I kept expecting him to twist or become corrupt and turn into this complete douchebag. But he doesn't. All the way through, he holds on to his morals. And his one line, I think, is brilliant. You can't change the world, but you can make a dent. And I'm like, you know what? That's actually a good attitude to have. Then you have Robin Williams' character who's just running around, I'm going to fucking kill that rhino. I'm going to do this. Oh, please don't hurt me. I'm going to fucking kill him. Please don't hurt me. And it just back and forth.
He spends the majority of the movie trying to come up with ways to get rid of the rhino so that he can have his time slot back.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's, spent all of his money already. He was a high earner, but he was on drugs, he was with women, you can imagine all those sort of things that he's been up
celebrity.
to. So he's got no money, and he's sucking up to the corporate bastards again. He's like, give me something, and they don't want anything to do with him. Even by association, they don't want anything to do with him. And so he becomes even more jaded and depressed. And watching Robin Williams portray it, especially with sort of the real world things that happened to him and what happened with his life, it comes across, and it can also almost feel awkward, but at the same time, he's really giving a real performance, especially in those scenes.
You're going to learn about shame, my dear Smoochy, and I'm your professor.
I love the scene where he's just walking through the streets, and he's just got these these slippers on that are just worn and mucky, and he can hear this guy going, "Save the rhino,
Yeah.
save the rhino," and he looks up and it's an actual "Save the real rhinos," but that's just enough just to set him over the edge.
Yeah.
Save the rhino. Thank you very much, sir. Save the rhino.
He spends the rest of the movie trying to get that time slot back, and one of the moments that I thought was hilarious is where he's baked these cookies, and you have that shot of Robin Williams sort of like in this underpass in the front of this, fiery pit, and he's just talking maniacally about the things he's going to do. Then it cuts to this children's happy TV show, and it's cookie time, and the music's playing, and the jar of cookies comes down, and Robin Williams is up in the balcony just laughing because he knows what's about to happen. And he pulls out the cock cookie. All of the kids are gasping, so I'm like, what, did they actually know what it is?
Yeah.
But
How are you going to cover this,
the Rhinettes are just like, oh. All of the studio executives are just like, holy shit, there's just dead air right now. And the Rhino's just like, it's a rocket ship! Yay! And then, of course, Robin Williams has to come down, Rainbow Randolph, and he's like, no, it's a wiener! It's a cock! It's Captain Foreskin!
It's a big stiffy! Yeah! It's a penis! Penis Maximus, a willy, a weenie! Mr. Jiggle Daddy!
His penis monologue is one of my favourite scenes, because he literally just starts spouting off all these lines about what this penis is, and you can see, he meant to bring the rhino down, but he ended up just bringing himself down even further and getting himself thrown out. And it kind of elevates Sheldon up a bit more because he was able to recover the whole situation and keep it going to keep the children's innocence. Two other characters I absolutely love in this film as well are Pam Ferris playing Tommy Cotter, the Irish mobster, and Michael Rispoli playing Spinner Dutton. And it's funny because Spinner is an ex-aged boxer who's taken a few too many punches to the head. And he's a bit of a child as well, and he loves Smoochy, and he wants to be on the show as well. So obviously Tommy convinces Sheldon to let him on the show. But I was looking at the guy and I was just like, I know you from somewhere. And then I realised he's actually Jackie Aprile Sr. from The Sopranos. So I was just like, wow, you've actually, you've gone from being this kind of Irish character to a proper mobster in a proper TV show. And it just shows how brilliant of an actor you are, that you're able to jostle these two kind of characters.
I have to say, when they brought in the sort of Irish mobster family, I was just like, I was hoping the film wouldn't go in this direction. I was like, these sort of scenes are sort of familiar and generic, and I was expecting it to just fall flat, but they actually pulled it through very well.
I love the way it cut. Sheldon stood there talking to Tommy about what she was going to do to these guys, and the camera just follows her, and the screen darkens, and you see her interrogating these guys right there.
It was a mistake, an honest mistake.
And then the camera comes back and they come back into the scene. I was just like, that was brilliantly filmed.
Yep. They are, I mean, even the lighting and the way that all of those scenes are filmed, it does feel very much like a cartoon with the exaggerated shadows and lighting.
Yeah.
But the technical film work as well is really fluid.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the film runs at just under 2 hours. I think it's like 1 hour and 40 minutes. And it runs at a smooth, crisp pace that doesn't lull anywhere in the film.
No.
And that is because, again, the dialogue between all of these great actors is razor sharp. And I have to give huge credit to the writing and to the actors for pulling it off, because it's mesmerising. And some of the quips are so fast that I'm trying to remember them, because those are the ones I want to use later on down the road.
We're going to find him, cut off his balls and shove him up his ass.
Well, maybe we should leave that for the cops, Tommy.
The cops won't do the ball thing. It's against procedure.
It's not a brilliant film. I remember watching this when it first came out back in 2002, 2003, and sitting there like, am I enjoying this? Am I having fun? It's funny in some places, it drops in other places, and at the time I didn't get it, mainly because Edward Norton was still fresh coming out, and Robin Williams I only remembered as a comedian. Watching it 10, 12 years later, I was sat there just applauding right from the start, watching Robin Williams go from this eccentric character to this dark bastard. You know, after seeing everything I've seen Edward Norton do over the last 10 years, seeing him as this character, one of my favourite scenes, I'm going to chuck this in here right now, one of my favourite scenes was when you first see Sheldon sat there in this kind of crappy...
There's the rehab meth clinic.
In the meth clinic, and he's singing his song about getting people off of smack.
Oh, we're gonna get you off that smack. We'll kick that monkey right off your back and get your life on track. Oh, yes, we will.
I was crying with laughter. Just because he just keeps such a straight face, just singing this song, trying to keep everybody else uplifted, and I'm just like, that's just brilliant right there.
That's the thing. That some of the songs in the film could be enough to put you off.
Yeah,
because you're just like, I don't want to watch flipping kids songs movie. You know, it's just.
But it's the adult underscore.
But exactly, the adult underscore in there is ingenious. I love the song where he's singing about the stepfather.
Oh yeah.
He slams the door, he stomps his feet, sends me to bed with zilch to eat. But my stepdad's not mean, he's just adjusting.
I was like, it's really catchy. It's got a jingle to it, and it's got a message for kids as well. I was like, it's really coming at this sort of from a skewed angle, but it works. I really like the scene where he's telling to the kids that sometimes, even though you're a good guy, and you try and do good things for everyone, bad things are going to happen. Yeah. And sometimes you're just going to get angry. I really wanted him to Hulk out.
When he turns to Nora and he says, I'm going to Hulk now, I thought he said, I'm going to Hulk.
You don't get to tell this boy what to do anymore, you uptight... I'm going to halt here.
Hulk! Smash! Yeah. And I had to rewind it and hear him say Hulk and explain what Hulk stands for.
No, it's not Bruce Banner.
Yeah, I was just like, ooh, that was close.
Well, on the flip side, one of the most memorable scenes from this film now, going back at it, especially after Robin Williams' passing, is a scene where he's reached the lowest point and he's just like, Smoochy has taken everything away from me, but the only thing he can't take from me is my life. I can take that myself.
Yeah.
When he's in the middle of the town centre and he's just pouring himself in gasoline and he's got the match and he's just telling you, I'm going to kill myself now. I've had enough. Oh, it's really difficult to watch. But at the same time, it's mesmerising. It almost feels like an insight into Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Especially after, because I keep saying. But it's not a light-hearted moment in the film, but it does turn into one, and it's also played up for the laughs.
Yeah.
And it does really, cement these characters, but it's a very poignant moment in the film, and it does also, again, just show off how fantastic an actor Robin Williams was.
Yeah. Oh, another character to bring up as well, who obviously passed too, Vincent Shirelli, who you might remember as the subway ghost from Ghost. And he plays Buddy Ding Dong, another TV presenter who lost his job to Rainbow Randolph and has been hired to, not spoiling anything, but he's been hired to do something to Smoochy. And he's only in the film for a small part, but he just steals the show too. Each one of the actors in all of their parts holds the screen. Yeah. They do really, really carry the film. And it just kind of elevates the fact that these people have now gone on to do better and greater things, all from this tiny little Danny DeVito film.
Yeah, which is still, for the most part, relatively unknown. There is one thing that there was one scene in the film, and this is for those of you that have seen the film already.
Yeah.
And they talk about this character Ricketts,
which
was sort of an inspiration for Edward Norton's character and for the other lady. And there's a scene where he ends up out in like an alleyway, and there's an old man out there, like a homeless man, who sort of gives him like this nugget of advice, and then wanders off again. I was like, that was just too cool. You know, it's too coincidental for this movie. I was like, I wonder if that's Ricketts.
Yeah.
Because I never checked him in the credits, but I've never seen anyone else pay any attention to that one scene in the film either. But perhaps you guys would know.
Just once, I wish I had a little clout, you know. I set things straight in this town. Believe me.
Favorite scene in the film, I think, is when Robin Williams is impersonating this charity advisor, and he rings up Smoochy and says, "Will you come and do this show? There's going to be an orphan child. All the money's going to go here, and they're doing very nice things." So of course Smoochy's like, "Oh, I'm going to be there. That's amazing. That's exactly what I live for." And of course, you know it's a trap. Robin Williams is sat in the car, and of course he's doing his famous voices, and he's got his makeup on.
Yeah.
And he takes Smoochy there, and Smoochy comes out to these great big stage lights, and he starts performing his song, and you're just like, yeah, it's Smoochy time. And then he's like, but I can't hear the kids singing.
Yeah.
Hey, just turn the lights down, Holy shit! It's an auditorium full of Nazis! Where did they come from?
Smoochy.
Heil Smoochy! And then, thus, the downfall of Smoochy. But that's only the midpoint of the movie. But that, for me, I'm never going to forget that. that curtain coming down.
I have a few favourite scenes. I mean, obviously, one of my favourite scenes is Smoochy singing the smack song to the rehab clients. The cock monologue by Robin Williams is absolutely brilliant. And one final scene, it's only a small little bit, but I couldn't help but burst out in laughter when it happened, is when Smoochy has been brought down and Randolph is dancing through the streets, and he's dancing to everybody, singing his little song, and he's not paying attention, and he just runs into a wall and falls down. I was just like, that's brilliant. Love it.
This film is hilarious from start to finish. You really will have a hard time not finding the funny side of this film.
Yeah.
Although I will say, this film could be Marmite for some people. You're either going to love it or hate it. It's very rare you're going to find someone in the middle with trying to decide on this film. I totally recommend it. This is a hidden gem of a movie.
Yeah.
It is comedy gold dust. And if you're a huge fan of Robin Williams, and if you've never even heard or seen this film, you owe it to yourself to watch Death to Smoochy. I highly recommend this movie.
Yeah, I recommend it too. Like Gary says, not everybody's going to enjoy this film, but if you're a fan of Edward Norton, you're going to love it for that reason. If you're a fan of Robin Williams, you're going to love it for that reason. There are a number of actors and actresses all the way through this film that carry it, and it's just, it's one of those hidden gems.
All right, boys. Let's go pray and get shit-faced.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
You know your love keep on lifting higher, higher and higher. I said your love keep on lifting higher and higher.
You okay?
I don't know. I'm kind of fucked up in general, so it's hard to gauge.